Well, let's talk about Nvidia a little more here because right now we're seeing Nvidia year to date is up over 35%. It's been an incredible performer. We're seeing some big names selling off Nvidia. We're getting some cautionary comments from JP Morgan. Some of the other big investors have been selling it off. Some of your thoughts on Nvidia, because Jensen Huang seems so positive. What do you think?
Yeah, again, this is, I think, the core of the future of computing. I mean, they have a stranglehold on chips. They have partnerships with so many major tech companies in terms of them being able to provide what they need in order for that tech company to really move forward into the AI age. And so I think long term, Nvidia is absolutely fine. Is there going to be, some uncertainty and worry around earnings? Of course, because that becomes the narrative right now. The narrative is that AI and valuations and those things, and as a result, you're going to see some pullback. But long term, Nvidia is 100% the front runner in this space, and I think a long term investment it makes sense with Nvidia because of that positioning.
So let's talk about the expectations, consensus expectations going into this. Street looking for $1.24 per share for Nvidia. Revenues expected to top $54.6 billion. What's your take on that? Does that line up with what your overall expectations are?
Thanks for having me on. It's great to be here. Actually, I'm still traveling. I'm calling in from Singapore tonight. Wow. Nvidia is the story of the moment. Visible Alpha Consensus is looking for about $50 billion in revenues for the data centers. This is going to be really important. And what's going to be even more vital is what the company says about their guidance for the data center revenues. They're looking for, based on Visible Alpha Consensus, $57 billion in revenue. So I think that's kind of where the market is at the moment, but we do see quite a bit of range in those numbers, anywhere from 53 to 63 billion. So it'll be interesting to see how they guide, what sort of visibility they give, and what they say about Blackwell.
Okay, Melissa, well, first of all, I got hats off to you joining us at, 9:23 p.m. there. I really appreciate that. Okay, so everyone's watching Blackwell. Yeah, we really appreciate that. When you think about Blackwell, what's the biggest thing investors should be looking to hear on that, and if it's living up to the hype?
We want to see, what I'm hearing is that we want to see some clear visibility in terms of what the true demand is. And then also if there's some color around what the total addressable market is going to really look like over the next year or so. And I think investors really want to hear about kind of what the overall trend toward accelerated computing is, where we are in that, because there's a lot of concern in the market right now that we're in a situation potentially of overbuild. And clearly NVIDIA is benefiting from that, but it would be helpful to hear some commentary from management about where that is, what visibility they see, and what the right size of growth is for the market, if they can give that.
The right size of growth for the market. I'm curious to know what you think that is, especially given the pullback that we've seen recently. The pullback, obviously, not just about NVIDIA. It's this broad question across the tech sector. Are the valuations too high? And listen, Wall Street had those questions last month, but that didn't mean anything. But suddenly it means something, right? So, well, I guess the question I have for you is what changed, and how well does NVIDIA have to perform to, I guess, resume the tech trade, if you will?
Yeah, I think one other critical data point from this quarter and then going forward will be what sort of margin the company is expecting for the data center segment. For this quarter, Visible Alpha Consensus is at 75.5%. And then for next year, that's jumping up to 76.3%. There is some debate about whether or not that margin is going to be able to achieve that 76.3% next year. So I think that'll be another thing that the market will focus on in the quarter and in terms of the commentary that the management gives.
Okay, and then When you think about future profits, I know you have your eyes on this, what some expectations are. You note that some are expecting about $7 per share next year. Others say 8 to 10. What do you think is driving that divergence?
Probably much more bullish assumptions around Blackwell, and then already starting to build in some assumption around the growth for Rubin. And I think, just the entire market for NVIDIA continuing to be in a situation of limited supply and over demand, which is, really what they've benefited from the past couple of years. And I think as many customers transition from Hopper to Blackwell and potentially Rubin, the view is, with the more bullish estimates out there, that trend is going to continue.
Doesn't that feel like a good problem to have? Because we hear that when Jensen Huang speaks, and it's not just him speaking his book, if you will, but that demand isn't the issue, it's supply. So, to me, that seems like a good problem to have. Is it not?
In theory, I think that the counter to that argument is that there's potentially a situation where the reason that we have so much demand is that there's just an arms race of overbuilding. And shareholders on the other side of that are concerned that they're not getting an ROI for all of this CapEx that's being spent. And so there is some concern that if the cloud service providers start to pull in their CapEx next year, some of these assumptions may not pan out the way that overall consensus is expecting.
So Nvidia is set to report its third quarter earnings. This is after the bell today. Analysts are expecting the company to post an EPS of $1.25 per share on $55 billion in sales, which would mark an increase of 56% year on year. When it comes to order numbers, these will also be in focus, particularly after the CEO, Jensen Huang, surprised the market last month, revealing that Nvidia had $500 billion worth of orders for this and next year combined. Now, investors will also be watching out for any commentary on sales in China after Huang made a deal with the President, Donald Trump, to obtain export licenses in exchange for sharing 15% of the revenue with the U.S. government. But there's more. Other things in focus include deal making. Earlier in October, Nvidia took a $1 billion stake in Nokia, which would allow it to integrate its GPUs into the telco's cellular network hardware. The company also pledged to invest $10 billion in OpenAI, as well as $5 billion in former rival Intel. And this comes after a survey by Bank of America suggested that a majority of global fund managers think companies are over-investing into AI. More than 50% of the fund managers surveyed believe that AI stocks were already in a bubble. And it comes after Barclays estimated that AI-related investments by both hyperscalers and smaller companies could reach the equivalent, listen to it, of 10% of US GDP in the next 4 years. So we're talking about unprecedented numbers here. Let's discuss some of these market developments with our next guest. Richard Kelly, head of global strategy at TD Securities, is joining us this morning. Richard, great to have you on the show. I'll start the conversation by getting your thoughts on these ongoing concerns around AI valuations. What do you make of that?
There's certainly a large chunk of financing that's been going on. There's certainly a large share of the investment growth that's been going through over the last couple of years. That's built up. And this is where if you start extrapolating things out many years in the future with no changes, you can see something go through there. But I think if you just look at the GDP numbers themselves, we don't find much accounting that the AI investment that's going on is driving a significant share of actual GDP growth. For one, you get a large part of imported content. For another, if you look at the crowding out that's going across other investment, this is an investment that's happening on top of everything else that would be happening otherwise. It's crowding out a decent share of that investment. So I think at an aggregate level within the economy, it's not having that large of an impact yet. And a lot of the potential comes from productivity growth. And that's something that's going to come much further in the future as well. So I think this is one that there's certainly concerns to look at the structure and how the funding looks like within the market side of things. But I think some of the discussions when we try and extrapolate into the economy right here is a little bit overblown.
So that's when it comes to potential economic ramifications here. But if you focus on the markets for a moment, there seems to be two schools of thought. One suggesting that the sell-off we have witnessed is different from the ones we have witnessed in the past and are just the start of a broader concern in terms of the outlook for AI. And the other school of thought suggests that this is just a healthy correction. In which camp are you on at this stage?
I think if you look at it more fundamentally, I mean, we look at it from the data. And obviously, one issue we've had for the last month and a half, for 2 months, is we haven't actually had any data to anchor expectations. So we've had to look for other things in markets to try and see what's going on. We've had to look at alternative data going through. If you actually look at macro consensus, you actually look at data surprises, and you see where equities have traded, you have seen a divorced move. You have seen equities trading well above the data we were getting, but we know we were missing the data that markets want to go through. So I think there's been some front running of what sort of strength there is. And I think over the next couple months, as we see the backlog of US data come through at the very least, I think that gives you a sense, unless this data can surprise significantly to the upside, you probably have had a little bit more sentiment come into risk assets than there probably should have. And we'll see how this sort of cascades through.
Nvidia front and center. And it really is going to be an historic moment because of how elevated we are. Some of your thoughts.
Good morning, Nicole. Yeah, NVIDIA is going to affect, all you have to do is look across the Thinkorswim platform to the amount of high profile names that have 1 day expected moves because of event levels of implied volatility. And you notice that it's probably 20 high profile names are going to move because of NVIDIA's earnings, Nicole. That shows the immense how important today is. We've been waiting, for about a month since large cap tech names came out with earnings, and now finally NVIDIA is here. Jensen Huang, there's just, you mentioned it, the concerns or fears about an AI bubble have kind of seeped into the trading, not only in NVIDIA, but in all the other names related to NVIDIA. So I think we're going to get, uncertainty is going to become less uncertain as we get news from NVIDIA, and we'll just see how Jensen Huang, who, by the way, has never wavered about the strength and demand and the overall strength that they have in their business, he's never said a word that implies any deceleration or any bubble atmosphere. So I think it's going to be really telling, not only the numbers they put up, which should be video game numbers, but how he guides forward. Remember, we moved from the Hopper chip. Now we're in the Blackwell chip, right in its key area, but there's a Rubin chip waiting on the horizon. Maybe he'll talk about that, but there is so much going to go on this afternoon, Nicole. It's really quite an epic afternoon we're going to have.
All right, KG. So markets are ready for the marquee event today, and I wonder if that can shift direction when you think about the tech trade recently, Nvidia.
I mean, it potentially could. I mean, we are expecting around a 7% move either to the upside or downside when it comes to NVIDIA. And I think the conference call is really going to drive the market. Where do they actually still see growth? Where are they seeing maybe some bottlenecks in this market as well? And do they still see CapEx spend from these mega cap names as well as others continuing to ramp to the upside? That is going to be a positive for this name. Now, we have seen mixed reactions post NVIDIA earnings in the past as well, where implied volatility for NVIDIA goes down, but also the stock also pulls back just a tad bit. That could also weigh on the S&P 500. But I think the market has been really obviously keen in on this earnings announcement, and it could be something that does move markets. But if you kind of look at the past, hasn't had that much of a reaction over the last 2 or 3 trading sessions. It does appear that there are other factors that actually do take place here, but it will be obviously very interesting to see. And I think the data center number is going to be key. The last quarter, they actually missed on their data center number here. The market really didn't get too concerned about it. It seems like it was more of a supply chain chain bottleneck type of issue here. But if we see the same thing this time around, and it's not because of the supply chain or trying to ramp up Blackwell, then I think that probably could cause a little bit more of a problem for Nvidia. But for now, once again, the market makers have been favored when it comes to Nvidia's earnings over the last 2 or 3 earnings announcements here, meaning that the stock actually moves within the market maker move and not outside of that.
KG, let me ask you this. How much does it matter in terms of the market movement with the equal weight basically ending little change yesterday, slightly lower? Does that say something about the shift in sentiment in the market since it strips out all of the, the heavyweights, really?
Yeah, I think it just shows that the market is getting a little bit more defensive. What we did see yesterday is the fact that the market did not sell everything. We did not sell the defensive sectors as well as the risk-on sectors. We did see a rotation, and that rotational trade actually can build a foundation for the S&P 500, at least for now. But I do believe, Diane, that over the next couple of days and or weeks, we do need to either consolidate a little bit more and break higher here, because we are starting to see a lot of sectors rolling over or potentially breaking down to the downside here, and that's not what you really want to see, especially leading into the holiday season. So I think right now you are still seeing that rotation until we get some brighter spots or maybe some news items around the tech trade itself that's going to be positive. I think the market's still going to be cautious right now. If you're looking at the credit default swaps for Oracle and some of these other names that are out there, they're still rising to an elevated level here, which is obviously bringing in equity volatility in the market. We also have some dynamics, mechanical dynamics that are taking place in the S&P 500 as well. We have VIX options expiring this morning, so that should actually take a little bit of volatility out of the market, and then we will have options expiration on this Friday. So right now it's rotational in nature. We did actually get fairly close. It was only about maybe 15 points away from the 20-week moving average for the S&P 500. And if you look over the past 8 months, 9 months or so, outside of the tariff pullback here, that has been a key area of support where we at least bounce off of the next week. Doesn't mean that we're going to make new all-time highs, but you can make the case that a retracement or a dead cat bounce at the least could be in the cards here over the next couple of trading sessions, just based on the technicals alone.